Hey guys, happy Thursday and welcome to the Football Friday directions. Okay, so you should have your Football Friday sheet in front of you. So you don't have a team yet just because your draft is coming up, but I chose the Eagles, so I put the Eagles in here. I wish I could draft the Eagles, but I don't actually do it. I'll let someone else have the Eagles. But so how this is going to work. Every single Friday, whether you are in the classroom or at home, your one assignment is going to be Football Friday. So what that looks like is on the first Friday, I'm actually going to share a Google Doc to you, and it's going to be your Google Doc. It'll have your name in the title once I actually give you a copy of it, but it will look like this. Yours is going to look a little different just because my iPad cuts off the top. But in this Google Doc, you have a link. So click here to check your team's wins and losses. That is going to be the link to the website to check the stats of your team. So I'm not going to show you it right now because there are no stats since no one has played yet this year. So it's kind of just a boring, empty website. But I promise you, after a week, there will be something there because the first games are this weekend. But also, you have an example right here to look at. So if you forget how to convert between the fraction, the decimal, and the percent, there's an example right here for you to look at. And I even gave you little tips of how to do it. So then every single week, you're going to fill out a table. So we're going to do a practice one together. Not today. Maybe I'll have you do it tomorrow. Yeah, maybe I'll have you do it tomorrow after the draft. But so this is going to be filled out every single week by you. So you would literally click by wins, put how many wins in, click behind losses, put how many losses in, click behind total games, and put how many total games they've played. And then you have to do the math on your own. You're not going to show me the work if you're not in front of me, but then you actually have to type in the fraction, the decimal, and the percent that represent the wins, and then the fraction, the decimal, and the percent that represents how many losses that your team has gotten. So after you fill out the table, you literally will turn it in on Google Classroom on the assignment. I'll look it over. I'll give you your grade on it, and then I'll send it back to you, and then it should be in your drive ready for the following week. So this doc you will use every single week for the next 17 weeks, okay? So now to the actual math part of it. So the first thing you're actually going to do when you're doing football is figure out how many games your team has won and how many games your team has lost. So that's going to be step number 1. So I always write down wins equals and then their loss equals. So the Eagles obviously are the best team. So I'm going to say the Eagles have won 3 games. And sadly, they did lose 1, but we all lose every now and then. It's okay. But then, so if they won 3 games and then they lost 1 game, you have to figure out how many games they have played total. So you just add those up, 3 plus 1. They've played a total of 4 games. So right there, you should be able to figure out the fraction for the wins and the losses. So right now we're going to do the fractions for the wins and the losses. So make sure you're copying all of this down with me. I'll take a little break right here and you can copy down the wins and the losses. Okay. If you are still copying down, just pause the video. That's the niceness of having a video lesson and not being in person. You can't physically pause me in person. So fraction. So we're going to do the wins first. So when you have a fraction, so the numerator, which is the top, is always the piece that you have, and then the bottom or the denominator is your total, which we know the total games is 4. So how many did they win out of 4 games? They've won 3. So the fraction for the wins is 3/4. Okay? And then same thing for the losses. They've lost 1 game out of 4 games. So the fraction for the losses is 1/4. Okay, so that is going to be hopefully be the easiest step. And from now, we actually have to do like the math conversion part of it. So there's 2 different paths that you can go to get to the answer. It's kind of however way you want to do it. Like from your fraction, that's always step 1. That's always where you start. You can either go to the decimal or you could go straight to the percent. So I'm going to say that the top path with my examples to look at is like the easier way because I give you like quick ways to do it. So I'm going to go through that way first and give you like the easy explanation, and then I'm going to go through the bottom one. So if I want to go from the fraction to the decimal, so we're going to do the same thing. We'll do wins and loss. So I know that they have won 3 out of 4 games and lost 1 out of 4. So I need to figure out the decimal that represents these fractions. So the fraction bar is actually another sign for division. So the fraction bar equals division. So what you actually just want to do is you want to divide top down, is what I always say. So if you have the fraction 3/4, what you want to do is you want to start at the top and you want to divide down. So do 3 divided by 4 in your calculator, which do it right now so you can actually trust me. You should get 0.75. Okay. So same thing with losses. You want to divide top down. So 1/4 is 1 divided by 4. Go ahead and try that in your calculator. You should get 0.25 or 0.25. Okay. So right there, we have the decimal and the fraction for our team now, for our wins and our losses. So the next thing we want to do is convert that decimal that we got to the percent. So just to give you an idea of what a percent is, the word percent, where can I write this? Percent equals, it means like per 100 or compared to 100. So it's always a number out of 100. So I'm actually going to share this link with you. It's actually really cool to play with and make a design with. But so this is a 100 grid, and you've seen these before, you've worked with these before in math, but you can actually go and like color it. Like if I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I colored 5 of the 100 blocks. So if you notice, I don't want to simplify. Go off. So right here, my fraction, 5 out of 100. I colored 5 out of 100 orange. But so look at my percent. My percent is 5. So since 5 out of 100 are shaded, 5 is the percent. So if I shade 2 more, notice I shaded 7, it's 7%. Okay, so percents are always a number compared to 100 or a number out of 100. So if you can remember 100 with percents, you'll be fabulous. The word cent actually means 100. So we want to figure out our decimal or 75 hundredths to a percent. So all you have to do is say the decimal, and it should help you figure out the percent. So hopefully you remembered our little place value review we did the other day. I told you you were going to need it. But so if I have 0.75, the 7 is in the tenths, the 5 is in the hundredths. So this is actually 75 hundredths. How would I write 75 hundredths as a fraction? 75 hundredths. But wait, didn't I just say a number out of 100 is actually the percent? So if you have a 75 out of 100, that percent is 75%. Okay, so that means that, I'm going to write this down here. You can write this on the back. So my wins, they have won 3 out of 4 games. Another way you could say that is 0.75. That represents how many games they've won. Or the way you usually hear it is they have won 75% of their games. Okay? So now for losses, we have the decimal 0.25. So that would be said 25 hundredths. You would write it 25 hundredths. Well, if you have a 25 out of 100, what percent is that? It would be 25%. Okay, so my losses. I've lost 1 out of 4 because the Eagles rock. And then that decimal would be 0.25 or 25 hundredths. And then that would be 25%. So if you notice and like do a little math here, if you add up your percents, you should always get 100 because they've won and lost all of their games. So they're all included. So that's just like a nice check yourself. You should always get 100 when you add your percents together. Okay. So I know that's a lot of information to throw at you right now, and I promise as you do it, you get used to it, and it seems like a little crazy right now, but I promise it gets easier every single time. If you don't want to see the other way to do it, if you just kind of want to stick to that one way and you want to go for it, you're more than welcome to just stop the video now and keep the notes as it is and make sure you have everything written down. Go back, rewatch it so you can copy down all the notes or just pause it and copy them down. If you want to stay for the second way because you just want to see it because you're a fellow math nerd, stay with me and we'll do the other way. But if you're a little overwhelmed and that was just too much to take on the first way, that's fine, and you may end it here and just bring your notes with you to class, okay? So converting the fraction straight to a percent. So we are going to do the wins, which is 3/4. So we already talked about the fact that a percent is out of 100. So you should know by now how to find equivalent fractions. So how I would do this is I want to find an equivalent fraction, but I know a percent is out of 100. So if I would find 3/4 with 100 on the bottom, this up here would tell me my percent. So I'm just going to find an equivalent fraction. So how do I get from 4 to 100? If you don't know what to multiply by, you want to divide in reverse. 100 divided by 4 is 25. So 4 times 25 should get me 100. So you do 3 times 25 to get me 75 out of 100. Right there, 75 out of 100. You know a percent is out of 100, so the percent is 75%. Same thing with your losses. You've lost 1 out of 4, but you know you want a percent, so it needs to be out of 100 or be a 100 in the denominator. So how do I get from 4 to 100? Multiply by 25. Multiply by 25. 25 out of 100 is 25%. Okay, so right there you have your fraction to your percent by getting it out of 100. So converting the percent to the decimal, there's a trick, but I'll show you the trick after we actually do the math part. But what I would do is, I know that 75% is 75 hundredths. So I would just literally write the decimal. Write how the fraction is said. Okay, so 75 100ths, 0, and 75 hundredths. If you can remember that a fraction is division, you literally also could just divide. So 75 out of 100 is 75 divided by 100, and you should get 0.75. Same thing, 25%, what's an ugly 5? You know that is 25 out of 100. So 25 out of 100 or 25 hundredths, 0, and 25 hundredths, or 25 divided by 100 in your calculator. Always remember that the fraction bar is a division sign. So if you don't see it, the cheat kind of way to do it is, if I have let's say I have 25%. If I want to go to the decimal, all you need to do is take the decimal after 25 and then move it boop, boop, twice to the left, and you get 0.25. And it's that easy. We'll go over that more once we actually get to my percent unit. But there is how to convert from a fraction to a decimal to a percent, and all mixed up whatever way you want to do it. So like I said before, that was a lot of information. I understand. This is just something that gets better with practice, and I'll be there to help you along the way every single time that you do it, okay? Let me know if you have any questions. Please make sure you copy down all of the notes and bring this with you tomorrow. Other than that, I guess I will talk to you tomorrow or see you tomorrow, whatever it is. Okay? Please let me know if you have any questions. Have a wonderful rest of the day.